Welcome to the Berks Homes Podcast, the business of building homes. I'm Katie. I'm here with my brother Ben, and today we are talking about guiding principles. Again, last year we talked about where they came from, why we created them, and this time we will be discussing how we still use them, how we lean into the guiding principles every day.
I met a new employee today, by the way, Kenzie.
New hire, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She started today.
Yeah, a sales rep. And she asked which episode she should listen to first as a new employee. And I was like, start from the beginning.
Maybe we should make a cheat sheet that says, listen to the guiding principles one first.
That's what I was thinking, but I couldn't remember where that was.
Yeah, like the
It was
number.
probably pretty early, yeah.
I think actually I do know because I looked at it before when I was working on this.
Mm-hmm.
It's episode 3.
Okay. So, hi, Kenzie.
Start on episode 3.
Yeah.
All right. So, guiding principles and how we are still leaning into them.
It wasn't something that we just came up with last year either.
No, last year we talked about it.
Yeah.
Like went into in-depth detail. Like the 3rd episode, we gave the overview.
Right.
And then we went into like a deep dive with
Each one.
Yeah, mission, vision, core values, each
Yeah.
one of them. In our reboot here,
Mm-hmm.
we want to touch on the guiding principles in general or one of those pieces at least once a month just to keep it in rotation.
Right.
And so this is why we're revisiting it right now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's talk about what's your first thought when you think about how we still use them on a daily basis?
Yeah,
You know?
I think they're so like ever present that you have to like separate yourself from thinking about them because it is how we make decisions.
Right. It wasn't something that we had to put in place. Okay, now we're going to operate this way.
Right.
We just defined in words how we do operate.
Right. And the practical side of defining them is it's like a contract kind of. You know? So why you want to always have contracts and very specific agreements when you do transactions or partnerships or anything is because it just takes all the guesswork out of it.
Yeah.
And you always have the reference. Well, that's what we agreed to.
Yes.
So like there is no argument. We all have it in writing and we agreed to it. And so there's no stress.
Yeah.
Like it's already taken care of. We negotiated that.
Yeah. And that is how we use it.
Right.
Is as that reference point, that touchstone to say very clear what our expectation is for employees and partners and anyone that we work with.
Right. Right. So let's just go start from the top. How we make decisions is the filter.
Yeah.
Right. Not just decisions, but conversations that we have. So you would only expect something from somebody in this organization centered around those 4 things.
Yeah.
That's the hope.
Right. Exactly. Wait, when you say 4 things, what are you referencing? The core values?
Core values.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're talking about.
Well, we're talking about guiding principles. Which
yes.
includes
the core values.
core values.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was talking about the core values.
Okay.
So when we make hiring decisions, right?
Yeah.
Helpful, humble, aware, driven. I think we're still doing this, right? Like screening the candidates through that lens.
That's exactly right.
How did they show up in the... Boy, I'm congested.
Oh.
It's my summer cold for some reason. How did they show up in this discussion?
Yeah. Did they reveal their, true values in the interview questions, in the conversation, how, they came across? Do you feel like they could fulfill and fit in according to those core values that we operate with every day?
I recall a time when we were interviewing for what it was, maybe a sales manager or something a couple years ago, and had a number of resumes, and the screener put, their assessment of the core values through the conversation.
Yeah.
And the one thing that stood out was, I'm afraid this candidate will struggle with the humble aspect because of these reasons. And, it was basically like them pontificating about how good they were at stuff.
Yes.
And I still think that you should interview, right?
Yeah.
So we went ahead, and I couldn't get that out, and all I heard was, bah, 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 like, I'm the best. And I was just like, no, And I think that just like made a big impact on me, because if that's your guideline, then you should be operating by that all the way from the beginning.
Exactly.
Red flags are red flags.
No, we've had the discussion before, especially when we're training new hiring managers. Maybe this is their first hire that they're making or something like that. Technical skills can be taught, but the core values typically aren't. You want to have someone who comes in with that inherently part of who they are.
And that doesn't mean this person was an accomplished
on paper
salesperson and sales manager.
Right.
And has done really great things outside of our organization. It wasn't going to fly here.
Right.
It wasn't going to land with the rest of the employees. So that's just something that I thought of. It wasn't something that happened in the last year, but very clear example of how we do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll continue to do it because it shapes the culture with every new person that you bring in. You want it to be a nice fit just from the get.
Yeah.
So, okay, this is an interesting question that when we were talking about doing this is, how did we kind of think through using the guiding principles last year? How did it influence all of our decisions in this last year?
Right. Well, I think, we've gone through so many changes in the last year. We kind of like totally reworked our leadership team and just made a lot of tough decisions on how to operate efficiently. And I think that each one of those decisions, even though we may not have verbalized it to each other, they really were made through the lens of our core values.
Oh, yeah.
And, I think because ultimately we were trying to do everything for the collective, not for ourselves.
Yeah.
When we made those tough decisions, we had to sacrifice potentially the perception of the impact of those decisions, the perception of us.
Yeah.
And that takes humility.
Yeah. Just to hear what, would take one for the team, whatever perception somebody experienced through those decisions, for us to just take the feedback, because that is what they experienced.
Right.
We can't change the way that someone saw or understood what happens on a daily basis.
Their reality is their reality.
That's exactly right.
And you don't always get to share like the influences of that decision with everybody.
We do when we can.
Yeah.
Because that's way more helpful.
You just don't always get to.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't have every conversation with everybody at all times.
Yeah.
And
and the hard part is that we tried to use awareness to really think through how it was going to impact each person, each team, try to mitigate those ramifications as best we can, but then still not being able to do anything about it if it was not received the way we wanted it to be, because that's just, again, their reality is their reality. And it's like, that's part of being humble.
And I think that's when we really lean on the culture that we have established, which is culture pushes out to everybody, especially your seasoned leaders. And that's where we really leaned on, our great leaders to communicate the things that we couldn't communicate sometimes.
Yeah. Maybe
the intent of something, some decision.
Yeah.
And we screwed things up along the way, always.
Yes.
Right? There's always
just because
mistakes.
we weren't able to explain ourselves didn't mean that we were doing it correctly.
Yeah, nobody ever does anything 100% correctly. So we make mistakes. I think that the end result, the ultimate goals that we're trying to achieve through the shift that we made in, how we operated our business, the results are in, and they're good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the way that we're trying to lead is to not just focus on that result at all times, and make sure that the journey is still something that we're mindful of. Yeah. And that's the awareness part.
Yeah.
But I always go back to humility. It takes it's a gut check to, sometimes screw up. Yeah. And be like, I screwed up. Yeah. I'll never screw up again. Can't say that,
I'll try not to.
Try not to. But awareness, humility, they go together in that regard.
What you were describing with our leadership people here now. I wanted to highlight that too. That's another example of how we made decisions this past year, or even how the guiding principles influenced us this past year is helpful, was the theme, I think, of the year. With every rollout decision that was made, the way that teams just pitched in, came together, and helped each other through transition and change was remarkable to me. That was the most prevalent theme from my perspective of this, entire year.
Yeah, I'll be able to recall that instantly.
Yeah.
When anybody asks me about 2024, 2025. Is the people that stepped up.
Yes, 100%.
Really steadied the ship, at least from an employee standpoint. That'll be easy to remember, and it's something that I'm proud of for the team.
Oh, yeah.
Just to see people, the unexpected things that happened in a good way.
Yeah. I mean, even to the point, not just from a leadership standpoint, but from an individual person, down to, ideas of how to change process or cut something or do something different to make an improvement. It feels like every single person contributed in a helpful way this year.
Right.
I can't think of one person right now that didn't do something that made an impact in a positive way.
Yeah. They just kind of looked around and said, oh, yeah, that's who we are.
Yeah.
Like, we have a voice, we can do this, and we're the same company we've always been. It's just time to lean into it.
Yeah, you're free to move about the cabin.
Yes. Yeah. Seatbelt lights off.
Yeah.
I actually made a LinkedIn post today.
What?
Yes.
What was it about?
Because LinkedIn reminded me that I've been here 6 years, or since I came back.
Oh, okay.
I guess it was this week. And that was one of the things that I did 6 things that I've learned in the last 6 years.
Oh, that's very cool.
One of the things that I highlighted was, never underestimate what people are capable of.
Right.
Because that was fresh in my mind from this past year.
Yeah.
Where you're like, wow, they can do a lot more.
And want to.
Yeah.
It's fun and exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Everybody's just waiting to excel. Just got to make sure you give them the opportunity.
Yeah. I have to read your post now. The last thing that I posted about was a mascot.
You were tagged.
Oh, okay.
What was something that, if you can recall, what was something that was hard, a hard call that had to be made?
I feel like there were a lot. A hard call that was, and how we used all of these.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think besides bringing in the core values to all of this, I think what really kept me grounded on any decision we made was our mission, and it's the long-term relationships, that not to be short-sighted about anything. And the fact that we are not trying to make a quick win. We're not trying to do the easy thing. We're trying to do the right thing.
Also on my 6 things.
Was it?
Just so you know.
I didn't read it yet.
Yeah.
I promise.
Never sacrifice the long term for the short term.
Exactly. So that really framed a lot of the decisions that I think we both made.
Right.
Is how is this going to affect the long term? Don't worry about what the short-term fallout might be, but how is this going to look in the long run?
Yeah, or just going for the easy, quick win.
Yeah.
When
don't take a shortcut.
Yeah, that will fade quickly.
Yeah.
I think that's always critical, and that's not really our mindset, but it's good to remind ourselves of that as well.
Again, it's part of what we do every day. But it's just so nice not to make it up every day when you get up. Okay, who am I going to be today when I show up? It's already there. Yeah. It's already documented. It's your default position to land on. Okay, when I look at this situation, what's the long-term benefit for the people that are impacted? Looking at it through an awareness lens, looking at it at a goal lens, but also that win-win-win that we talk about.
Yeah. It gives you this kind of bedrock that you can always go back to when, maybe you're not feeling yourself, or maybe you're letting your circumstances dictate your emotions or your thought process.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
getting swept up into something. And in our business, it's real estate, so it's like up and down and up and down and side to side. And we just have gone through this insane up market where it's just like this frenzied, land rush, and you can just be like, I'll give you more, and you just get kind of nutty with it, and you're just like, for what?
Right.
At some point you're like, well, that's not long term. That's, we're not greedy. Like, for what?
Right.
The calm, steady hand always wins.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean that we don't want to move quickly when we can, but just those solid principles, they always stay true.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine not having something to fall back on.
I really think it has made a difference in our growth.
Yeah.
As an organization, and even in the decisions that we make. Not that it wasn't there before, but again, like you're saying, something to fall back on that you can point other people to. It's a like rallying point almost.
Right. Probably if you heard some early podcasts too, where we were referencing some vanity metrics that we don't necessarily care about, you could probably hear the tone in our voice. Of what we care about is probably a little different than what a lot of people care about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because growth, we're not going to grow in terms of a few metrics this year.
Right.
We're not going to close as many homes as we did last year. But that doesn't matter to us.
Right.
We're going to do better overall. It's just interesting. It's just staying true to yourself.
Yeah.
All along the way.
And it's nice to be able to show it, to say, this is staying true to ourselves. See? It's right here.
So along the way in the last year, we had to make some, we said tough decisions on certain things and really analyze like what matters to us. And it was like, some of it was so easy. We're just like, that is not a priority.
Yeah.
What are we doing here? Forget that. And then we made decisions and probably learned later how we could do them better.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So one thing that we noted here was a deepened understanding, right? Of those decisions. And so like with reflection, awareness, right? It's not just paying attention, it's predicting the ripple effect of a decision before it happens. And so I think that thinking of a specific situation where we were about to possibly make the same mistake we made earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Right? And we're like,
nope.
Pull the plug on it.
Yeah.
So we need more time. And I think you basically said, let's stop right now. And I was like, all right, good. Because I was not ready for that on top of what we were dealing with already. And it ended up being like a really good thing. But I think the reason that it bothered you, maybe it was after a weekend or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was the end of a week.
Right.
It was a whole week just processing.
Yeah. I think why it bothered you was because it just was like in conflict with
our principles.
And like what we possibly did previously in the same situation.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think I would say another valuable lesson, and bringing it back to how we're using all of this, is tying our mistakes to when we didn't use this as a reference point.
Yeah. Right.
And so, and I'm not saying that we can't make any decision without tying it into the guiding principles in some way. But typically when we look back at where we go wrong, it's when it's not in alignment, and
always.
It's getting a lot easier to feel that.
Right.
It's not like I'm reading the guiding principles when I'm thinking through something, but it is something that is now just part of almost like a gut check.
Right.
That is becoming a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, and I think because we have these things are embedded in who we are. We do generally make decisions pretty easily. Like clearly.
Yeah.
The outcome. I think what we're trying to take up a notch is the process.
Yes. Exactly.
Like feel pretty confident about where we're going to land. Like the right decision.
Yeah.
If it's binary.
Right.
Going to another level is how you get to that decision.
Yes.
The process, the steps you take,
Mm-hmm.
the communication, right?
Yep. Well, and that's reference like that calm, steady hand. It's just being predictable in your, okay, we have a decision point.
Yeah.
We need to communicate change will be coming.
Yeah.
This is why. This is how you'll be impacted. What's your feedback? What are we missing? And then moving forward and making sure that the questions we get back will show us if we have not explained the alignment yet or not. You know, it's just that back and forth and that real solid communication, I think. Like, we're speaking very vaguely here, but if we use a real concrete example in terms of us being true to our principles and changing process is whether or not we purchase lots now.
Yeah.
You know, we were going against our principles when we would just purchase lots that weren't ready just to the short-term win.
Yeah.
We need land. We need this. So just get the purchase.
Solve it later.
We'll just start the house and deal with it down the road.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that is not being aware, and it's not being helpful. It's not even following our mission.
Yeah.
We would take land that was not ready to be built on and try to build a home on it, which was a terrible customer experience, terrible for the sales consultants to try to have to navigate in real time changes that were happening to the product that they had already sold.
Right.
Time frames that shifted for trades, time frames that shifted for the customer, for our whole team.
So we were creating a win for one party, and our developer.
Exactly.
And not the other 5. So that's a good example.
So for us to be able to take a step back and say, these are the things that are required before we purchase land and before we make it available for sale, even if we're desperate for starts.
Right.
It's not right. It's not the right thing. It's not the right way to do it.
And desperate's a very fluid term.
Well, I should have said with quotes.
Right.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, you can always make an argument for more starts.
Yeah.
Like,
do we want them? Absolutely.
Yeah.
At any cost? No.
Right. Yeah, it's a good example.
So what was really interesting about the next kind of deep dive into our core values is thinking about how we like to use them in combination with each other.
Yeah.
So we did a podcast about, helpful on its own, humble on its own, all 4 of them. And what we would like to kind of talk through a little bit as an overview is the fact that we love to use them in combination. They are balanced to each other most of the time, or like a check and balance depending on how you're thinking about it. So typically we like to have kind of driven is always needs a measure against it.
Needs a soft touch.
It does, right. So if you think about like awareness and driven, or humility and driven together, do you have anything that comes to your mind right away with a combination?
I'll go with the other combination.
There you go.
Helpful and driven.
Yeah, there you go.
Psych supers who fix a problem, they get it done. But then, and they're helpful in that too. But then they circle back and try to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Right. Or still get the house done on time.
Yeah. Make it better, than a current solve. They figure out a different solution for next time. I think that there's so many great examples of over the last year, like we said, helpful just comes out as a theme.
Yeah.
Where people understood, going back to your lot example, people really understood. This really goes back to COVID too, where everybody was pitching in to try and make the experience as normal as possible for everybody.
Yeah.
Over the last year, I would say, because people saw that there were many opportunities to grow and lead, like within their own position.
Yeah.
Wasn't that 90% of the people got promoted or anything like that, but there were these, I would say, elevations within the groups that were very clear.
Yeah.
That people were just like, you know what? I'm not asking for, a promotion or anything. I'm just, my mindset's changing.
Yeah.
There's, we have maybe a few less employees than we did at the beginning of last year, but overall it feels very streamlined still.
Yes.
Everybody is not even necessarily specifically being asked to step up. They just are.
I keep hearing, oh, I can do that.
Right. Right.
That's just something that's instinctual at this point with a lot of people, is in a meeting or conversation, if somebody's able to handle something, it might not be in their job description, but just to say, oh, I can do that. That's not a problem. Let me take care of it.
Yeah. And what I've really appreciated is when we have like our larger leadership meeting with all the directors and stuff, the thoughtful topics that they come up with.
Yeah.
Where you and I, if we ask the same questions that they asked, we get different answers just because we don't have that relationship with their people necessarily, you know, because we don't work with them every day.
Right.
The thoughtfulness, the listening that has happened over the last, you know, year or two has produced a tremendous amount of great feedback.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
Not that I was surprised. I'm just surprised when feedback doesn't sound entitled.
Right.
You know? Well, it's like more of a suggestion, not like, we deserve this.
That's what I'm saying has been, I guess, part of the theme of Helpful is, and the way that so many people have pitched in, is just thinking about ways that things can be better. And it's just that feedback to say, you know what, I was thinking about this, and I think if we did it a different way, it would make somebody else's life easier. A lot of the suggestions aren't for themselves. I think that's what you're seeing more than anything. It's looking at the person next to them and going, that person's working harder than they have to. I think if we did this, it would make their lives easier. That's why it's feeling like that, is people are looking out for each other.
Right.
Which is great.
Yeah, so that's just been honestly like a real bright spot for me, to see everybody taking care of each other, you know, and knowing that if it goes up the chain 3 different levels or something, they genuinely feel like it's going to be heard. Yeah. You know, it's not just like going into the ether.
Right. That's something that I would like to say publicly, is that we are doing everything we can to do something with everything we hear. And because it takes a lot, I think, for people to bring stuff up sometimes.
Sure.
And I hope that we can prove over time that maybe in previous years, feedback wasn't actionable. And we are doing our best to make sure that feedback is given an action item or an explanation.
Right.
You know, so if you tried something, if you tried to give feedback 5 years ago and nothing happened, again, let's bring it up again.
Yeah, and that's part of why we are trying to be consistent with the podcast again.
100%.
You know, I mean, we probably we have jobs, right? You know, we do a lot of stuff as well as running the business, but it's just about being intentional and spending more time on the business instead of in the business. And I think in the last 12 months, it's like light years, right? To setting things up, getting the leadership raised up to take care of those things that you and I might typically dive in and, you know, roll our sleeves up on.
Right.
And it's like, just relax. That's actually not our role on a lot of stuff anymore.
Right.
You know, it's a scary thing being, you know, driven. Right. It's also very hopeful because of the people that we have.
Yes, exactly.
And let's face it, they're better than us at most stuff.
100%. Let them do it. It'll be so much better. But something we haven't even touched on yet is the vision. And everything that you're saying ties directly to that. We're the ones that have to set the precedent for what being the major league player is.
Right.
And if we're in the business every day just working on those things, we can't set that vision. We can't set the steps in place for what we're going to grow into next or how we're going to improve. We have to be a couple steps ahead, and all of our great people have given us the opportunity to be able to do that now.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. And it works way better when you're out in front.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. One of the other combinations, you sent me this banger here. Tension equals magic. Driven wants to go fast. Humble says bring people with you.
Ooh, yeah.
That friction makes the outcome better.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think tension is important?
I think that it gives you the opportunity to really be committed to it or not.
Yeah.
You know,
it's like accountability.
Yeah, if something's easy or if there isn't a check, I always love check and balances.
Yeah.
If there isn't that check against something, you can't just have one side of the equation.
We don't believe in ultimate authority of, any opinion, right?
Opinion, person, way.
That's not our style here.
Right.
Nobody's always right.
Exactly. I want everyone to be able to say why.
Yeah.
Prove it.
I mean, we're not ultimately super democratic here, of course.
This has nothing to do with politics.
I'm not saying politics. I'm saying the word democratic. I mean, at some point, somebody's got to make a decision.
Yeah.
But I think the point is everybody has a valued perspective.
Yes.
And if somebody feels strong enough to say it, that's even more of a reason to listen.
Yeah.
And be thoughtful about it.
Exactly. We've got a great mix of different personality types. So that example of driven, is we want people to be jumping out in front, leading the charge, but we have to have the ability for them to be questioned or measured against to say, is that the right direction?
Yeah.
It
just wondering.
Yeah, just because you're driving doesn't mean you're going to the right place.
Right.
Yeah. So to be able to have a little bit of that tension just keeps you honest. I don't know how to say it any other way.
Right. Yeah. Because, that's just me. I whenever anybody has such an incredibly strong opinion, I'm like, really? So you thought through all of it. I don't know. It's just my style. I'm just not that I'm cynical at all. I'm just how could you be so confident? I just think there's so many possibilities.
My mind immediately is yeah, that's one way.
Yeah.
But there's
you might be the
more.
Loudest voice.
Yes.
Right.
Are you the most correct?
Yeah.
Let's find out.
Yeah. So the driven aspect definitely needs to be counterbalanced most of the time.
And again, we talked about this before when we talked about helpful. We just keep bringing it up, but you can be too helpful. It has to be balanced against, awareness of how people are being impacted or a process is, or is it even if you're just helping everybody else, where are you getting in the end?
Absolutely.
So
yeah,
that's that tension between each variable in all four of them is necessary to it working correctly.
Right.
I'm enjoying having notes. Thank you guys for your feedback, for real. This was really helpful. Let's see. Let me ask you a question. I think we talked about this before, but we'll say it again. Which value comes naturally to you, and which one takes conscious effort?
The natural one for me, is it counterintuitive to say humility when you're talking about yourself?
No, not with the way we have it
humility
defined.
And awareness, I would say those two for me would be the most natural. I never really look at driven like others do because I'm just isn't everybody driven? I don't know. I don't necessarily identify with that because I'm just
that's baseline.
I thought we were born with that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I don't find myself identifying with it because I'm just I just want to, win at everything.
Yes.
So maybe that's the most natural. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I think humility's probably the one that I try the most to be aware of. Yeah. Because I think it's pretty natural for me. But when I make decisions, I do really try to think about the collective and not try to appease the voices, the minority, or the loudest, I think that humility is probably something that comes the most natural to me because every once in a while when I'll give you an example. So I don't really like to be wrong when it affects other people.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So everybody has their limit as well.
With what? What do you mean?
Everybody has their limit when it comes to like just taking everything internally, just I made the wrong decision. I'm beating myself up over it. I don't need to hear it.
Right.
Right. And I do go into a doom loop every once in a while. If I make a decision that I wish backtrack on, it's hard to be humble in those moments a little bit. And the other thing that I think I struggle with from time to time is when you do receive criticism is like wanting to defend yourself.
That's where I was going to go with this. You don't understand.
I just like what I feel like I've sacrificed for the greater good. But it's real. I mean, like we go 100 every day.
Yeah.
The meter is all the way to the right every day.
Wake up 0 to 100.
And we try our best and we want everybody to be happy. It doesn't always work out, of course, but that's life.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I struggle with remembering, like, you don't need to tell people how hard it was for you. Like that's just like literally the opposite of being humble.
Right.
Even though that's what I'm thinking.
You don't understand.
Yeah. My life. Which just sounds ridiculous.
Which is why you're saying it, because you know, it's like
I'm being transparent.
Exactly.
And honest. But at the end of the day, that I come back to the same spot, which is I don't need the credit.
The reason you're bringing this up and why you wish you could explain yourself or defend things, it's not because you want the credit. It's because you want people to feel good about what is happening.
Yeah.
You want
the direction.
You want it to be a positive, like understood decision, not because you care about yourself. It's like for me, I struggle with that the most. So that's the one I was going to say is prioritizing the team win as part of that humble aspect.
Right.
When that is not part of the equation, I can't get over it.
Yeah.
And I go to the same place where I'm like, no, but I was thinking of you the whole time. You have to understand.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
No.
It doesn't matter, And running a business, like there are those times where you're just like, if you genuinely try to accommodate everybody before yourself, that's whacked out too.
Then you're spinning in circles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you're just like, why don't you just get a job and serve a leader?
Right. Right. Be a leader or not.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah. So you have to balance it. And it is important to prioritize yourself and your family when you're leading as well.
Yeah.
Because I can't go home and constantly tell my wife that we had to prioritize everybody else first. I can't do that my whole life.
Right.
I can't.
Right.
Like that's not smart either.
Yeah.
It's not fair to her. It's not fair to you. So those are just like, I don't really struggle with that thought process that much. It's just every once in a while. And it's, when you're at the end of your rope, when you go through something difficult.
Yeah.
The vast majority of my time spent is really just appreciating all that's going on around us. And I think we're desensitized too because of the business that we're in. Like if you want to go find some bad news, it won't take you very long.
Right.
We hit a gigantic water pocket in a foundation. We hit rock over here. We did this. We did that. You know,
can't find a framer in America.
Yeah. I mean, it won't take you very long.
Yeah. But
when you build hundreds of homes a year, but alternatively, if you want to find a good story,
same thing.
You can, so it's just what you want to latch on to.
Yeah.
So I don't know where I was going with that.
No, it's just kind of going through, like, that's why we're desensitized to all of the ups and downs and changes and everything. It's kind of just like,
you have to land on positive.
Yeah.
Right.
There's you're not going to make it if you don't.
So what takes the most work for you?
You mean which
core value?
I was going with humility.
Yeah.
And not because I can't prioritize team wins, like I was saying. It's more that it's difficult for me to accept when there's not a clear winner.
Yeah.
So for me, humble is the opposite of driven and awareness in some ways. And those come easy to me.
Mm-hmm.
So when I want there to be a winner
Mm-hmm.
on something, see, like you're saying, the positive.
Yeah.
You see the positive. Humility takes that out of the equation. So sometimes that is difficult for me to just let it be.
Mm-hmm.
Even if someone doesn't see things the same way that I do, that's the team win.
Right.
It doesn't have to be the way that I intended it to be.
Yeah.
And that, I would say, is probably hard for me is when my intention is not clear.
Right.
But Jade and I were talking this morning about sometimes things that seem silly to do. Like we moved out of the Cumberland Preserve model home, the Blue Ridge, and into a Copper Beach. And then we sold it a month later and moved back into the Blue Ridge. Mm-hmm. And now, why would anyone think that is a smart thing to do? Well, you don't know all of the circumstances surrounding.
We're repositioning the model.
Exactly.
We have a better lot in mind.
And someone wanted the Copper Beach and no one wanted the Blue Ridge.
Right.
Move it right back in, get a sale, win, win, win.
Right.
Now
looks like a bunch of idiots running the show.
Exactly. And it's just sunk cost.
And it's also, I don't care if we look like idiots.
But that was my point.
Tell yourself that.
Exactly. Do I have to explain myself? Well, I'm glad I could right now. But do I have to explain myself every time something like that looks silly? No.
Right.
Just accept that it's the right thing. Sunk cost, move on, and it's okay.
Right.
It's the right thing, and you don't need to ruminate on how you're perceived or if there's going to be questions. Or I'll answer stuff all day. It's all right.
Our mission of building relationships and stuff is the most important, and trust.
Yes.
Right? So you get your reps in.
Yeah.
You make a decision on paper that looks weird or stupid or, like bizarre.
Yeah.
As long as you keep making progress and everything gets better and better every day, every year, those things people turn into like, I don't know what they're doing, but it always works, Right.
But
and
again, that's
trust.
Consistency and a steady hand and just rep by rep,
right. Yeah. Sometimes going back to humility, like sometimes it can be like a crutch or like not very helpful to be too humble. Like over the last year, I've been struggling to communicate my voice a little bit sometimes, like because I just hate entitlement so much, and I don't want people to think that like I just think I know everything, but it's
or that you won't do something. You're too good to do something. That sounds like a horror movie to you. You do way too many things.
Yeah. But again, you just have to build little by little that trust and be like, that's not what they think.
Right.
Yeah. So you don't want to be too humble either.
That's a really good point.
People need a leader, and they need a strong leader.
Yeah.
And sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But being strong, being consistent, and clear about what you want to do, that takes a lot of the pain away of a bad decision or the wrong decision.
Yeah. Because again, like you're saying, being clear about it.
Yeah. And in our business, you're just like playing the stock market every day, basically, with the market.
Yeah.
You just want to make more good decisions than bad.
Yeah.
And that's what we've been doing. Anyway, I just wanted to follow up on that.
I think we pretty much covered everything that we wanted to.
Yeah.
On a revisit to the guiding principles in general.
I love this stuff.
Yeah.
I really do.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm glad everybody else does too. It's nice to see that.
Right. What are you looking forward to next week or for the next couple weeks?
We're planning for our all-day strategy meeting this week.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to the plan and then what we come up with next week. You know, I'm excited that we're really working on what our day-to-day is looking like over the, last half of this year, and then just what that repeatable pattern is every year going forward.
The expectations, and we've been pretty consistent about doing the same things since last year. And I think it's just nice to hear people have an expectation of that same thing. Everybody appreciates consistency, clarity,
Yeah.
And simplification.
Right.
All these words that we like to use.
So I'm excited about doing the same thing that we've been doing. That's what I'm trying to say.
Boring is good sometimes, you know.
What about you?
I would say I'm ready for the Eagles to come back.
Yeah, you're in a drought right now.
Yeah.
You know?
It's training camp. Summer is really interesting for me because I feel like kind of like a caged animal a little bit. A lot of people go on vacation and I'm like, what's everybody doing? You know? Where's the action?
Yeah.
You gotta wait. You always have somebody you're waiting until Monday to talk to.
Yes.
And that drives me nuts. And I want people to take time off.
Yeah, it's not about that.
It's like I'm like, oh, that's so good for them. You know, like they're taking a nice time with their family, whatever. But I just love the action of like the school year season.
Yeah.
Even though it's annoying too. You know,
Right.
You're like, oh, I'm driving over here, dropping the kids off over here. This year's been awesome because we've just spent a lot of time as a family.
Yeah.
And like, you know, just doing normal things together without a crazy schedule. But I am looking forward to
the routine
again.
Yeah.
With that at work. You know, we're working on some really cool, interesting, different opportunities.
Yes.
For projects. I love that challenge of doing things differently. It's always fun to kind of go to battle with the giants in some, you know, winning every once in a while, winning a community over one of the national builders or something. That's always fun. We've done that a handful of times. It's really fun. We have some new markets that we're going into, which is always interesting. And, you know, we're opening a bunch of new communities over the next 6 months.
Yes.
With some different product, different markets.
We're going to have to get out a lot. I mean, we've been, but it's going to be nice to kind of watch this unfold, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, I just always go back to the people. It's just great. You know, it's great to have another month under the belt with people in their roles and feeling comfortable and empowered and making decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing how the year finishes out. And really, you know, right now we're building 2026.
Yep.
You know, so as we've said, in our world, it's not really a calendar year or a fiscal year that you think of. We're already, the results for 2026 are happening already.
Exactly.
Which is fun.
I keep having
I like looking out.
Yeah, keep having to change the settlement report.
Yeah,
to include next year.
Yep. Yeah. I'm just stoked about a lot of stuff. Very, very excited. Are we going to do a challenge?
Yeah, go ahead. What do you have? I have a shout out.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I'll do the challenge. Find 3 chances this week to live out the value that you picked.
Ooh.
Right?
Yes.
So everybody's got to pick one, you know, of the 4 and notice how it changes the outcome.
Oh, that's great. I would love to hear about it too. I don't know how to collect that information, but, you know, it would be nice.
We can figure out a way. Actually, we can figure out like an Asana form or something.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
Right?
Yeah.
Put it on the webpage.
There are people smarter than us listening right now who have some ideas of how to collect this.
Planting the seeds.
Yes, please help us.
This month we should have a new HAD award winner.
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
We will have an August HAD announcement.
Yeah.
That'll go out in the next. We'll have a newsletter going out, and then every month that will announce the HAD
award
winner.
Helpful, humble, aware, and driven award monthly for an employee who notices another employee exhibiting one of those values, and they get like a prize.
Yes.
Snack pack.
We'll add that to the list, a snack pack.
So who's your shout out?
My shout out is Christine. Our controller.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Because there's a couple Christines.
There are.
Yeah.
Christine.
Shout out all the Christines.
Yeah, you're actually doing fantastic at Elizabeth Village. Thank you.
Yeah.
But we are shouting out Christine
Yeah.
in accounting today because she has just transformed our budgeting and planning process.
What a powerhouse.
Started in January and just completely took the reins and turned it into a working session every month, and has really made a great impact on what we see what was making me think of this is when you were saying, you know, we're already looking into 2026 and our seasons are lead lag.
Right.
You know,
right.
While we're looking ahead to 26, we're also always looking at the month in review or the past 6 months in review. And we've got so much great information at our fingertips now.
Oh, yeah.
And we're utilizing not only our budget, but our forecast information, our reforecast information that we put together. And that's going to make our planning and budgeting season so much easier this year.
I know.
So I'm really happy about that.
Sometimes I feel like when I get here early in the morning, I feel like somebody in NASA with like my screens and all these graphs and information, and I'm just like, I love this stuff, all this data in front of me. It feels so powerful.
It's just been so easy to like make decisions.
Yeah.
What do you need? It's
click.
On a dashboard somewhere.
Yeah. Shout out Christine. And it's so great because she always asks for feedback, and you're just like, do you think you could add this report? And then she like emails it like 2 hours later.
Speaking of LinkedIn posts, she's the one that said feedback is a gift that I posted about.
Oh, yeah. That is true. I forgot she said that. Yeah. It's all good.
So that's it for this week. To be continued.
Next week, we will talk about something else. TBD.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Have a good one.
All right. See ya.